Hey, my friends, thought we'd spend a few minutes together on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah, it's afternoon. I'm just going to do a live stream, your calls, whatever you want to talk about. If we have a lot of good, compelling calls, I may actually release this as an audio podcast later on in the month of August. I'm about to release a show tomorrow that we'd recorded, I guess, a week or so ago, 10 days. We did the show called Unthinking. I can't believe I did this when I was drunk. And then on a much more sobering note, we're doing a broadcast about right to die issues. That's coming up a week from Tuesday. We talk about death with dignity. Honestly, prepping that show made me crazy because the more you read about the religious objections, and they're almost all religious objections. Who are you to play God? Let nature take its course. And of course, nature can be responsible for a tremendous amount of suffering. It's funny, we take our animals in and we have them euthanized. We put them down when they're suffering and we know there's no way out and there's just no other choice. But human beings will just let them drift for days, months, weeks, years in tremendous amounts of pain. So I was prepping that show, but we've got some very interesting guests. I've got Robert Rivas. He's an attorney for Final Exit. He's been out there doing some very interesting work on the front lines in the courtrooms. And also, I don't know if you remember the story back from 2014, 2015. There was a young woman named Brittany Maynard. She was 29. She went in after she had some headaches, and it was revealed that she had a massive brain tumor. And at the age of 29 was given just a very short time to live. And she ended up moving from California to Portland to be able to take control of her own exit. They wouldn't allow her to assist or take control of her own dying, the elimination of her own suffering. She knew there was no way out. I mean, she was going to fight it as best she could, but if a point came and she was just too overwhelmed by the pain, she wanted the opportunity to just punch her own ticket and just say, I'm done, to go out on her terms. And California at the time would not allow her to do that. And so she moved to Portland, and this became this, I guess you call it political football. Everybody starts to rally around on each side of the cause. And I saw one person, I actually had to block her on Facebook. I couldn't watch. She was like, who does this woman think she is to play God, to take her own life? This is a travesty. I know Catholics believe that if you take your own life, you go to hell. I think that's still a Catholic teaching. And then there are other people who were like, good for her. And that was one of those people. I mean, I'm so sorry for the pain that is in your life. I'm so sorry for what's happened, but I've got your back if you need support out there. So anyway, we're going to do a Right to Die or Death with Dignity show. So that's going to be kind of heavy. So we're going really light and then really dark. And then after that, maybe, if you've got something on your mind and you want to call the listener line number, there it is on the screen. My screen's reversed, so I got to point the right direction. You can dial in and we'll just chat about whatever. I just finished watching a video that was sent to me on YouTube. It's a YouTube clip. I think it may be floating around on Facebook as well. There was this guy who was trying to evangelize passengers on a train. Let me see if I can get this thing centered up here. And it sounds like he's on in the tube somewhere in the UK. And he tries to do the street preacher thing. And the passengers just totally shut him down. Now, if this thing will play, I'm going to go ahead and play. I'll play a few minutes of it at least, and you can kind of see. But the title of the video from Winning Circle, published July 30th, 2019, is Train Passengers Unite to Tell Preacher to Shut the Fuck Up. Here's the video.
Allow me 3 minutes of your time if you don't mind. All right, I'm not here to offend anyone. I'm here to give you hope. My name is Philip Blair. I'm from the United States. I want to talk to you about where you're going in life, right? We're all rushing through life. We're all on a train. We're all going somewhere. I want to ask you, what is the purpose of your life? Are you living to work and working to live?
God, I'm already irritated listening to this guy.
Corporate ladder, okay? But I have left everything, and I've been to over 28 countries in the last 2 years to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I'm not trying to talk to you about religion. I'm here
This
to
is
talk
Australia.
to you so that you might have hope
Australia,
for
my mistake.
tomorrow and every day that follows. Because many of you are hurting and you're going to the wrong places. We care more about saving the whales than we care about saving our unborn children. We care about how
Thanks,
deep our...
mate. Thank you.
Nope, I'm not gonna stop because I love you that much, okay? We have to return to living in a moral way. Our children
we do not have
are
to
going
return
up.
anywhere, thank
Our
you.
children are
you
growing
have
up.
no more right than anyone
broken.
else on this bus. Just shut up.
No,
Yeah, shut up.
no.
He's trained.
3 minutes of your time, all right? 3 minutes of your time. I love you. And I want you to know that there is peace found in Jesus Christ. That He can save you from any situation and He can deliver you from anxiety, fear,
Oh,
worry,
mate, if you ask for our time, we have the right to say no. We're not giving it to you.
So it's all to do with
Why are you so triggered, my friend?
Why won't you just shut up?
Because I love you that much.
Speak quietly
I
to
know.
someone
And
who
one
wants
day
to
you're going to
listen.
stand before the throne of God, and you're going to account for everything that you have done. Repent, Sydney, for your sin. Repent before it's too late. There's power in the name of Jesus to change your life. I care about you. That's why I'm telling you the truth.
What kind of arrogance is that? I call this theological masturbation, right? Nobody he's talking to is changing their mind. They're all irritated with him. But he now gets to go back to his little lair, his little Ray Comfort lair, and he gets to be like, I was a God warrior today. I went out and I preached the gospel for Jesus Christ, and I'm a kingdom warrior. You know, I'm a soldier in God's army. Theological masturbation. And, you know, this captive audience, no wonder they resented the guy. But I just started to watch that, and I thought, well, I'll just watch it with you guys. It was just amazing to see the response of everybody going, shut the fuck up. And haven't we all had those thoughts? There was something else somebody shared with me. I was going to share with you. We share. Oh, yeah, somebody sent me this. Hang on. Now, forgive me, the YouTube volume is not very loud, and so I'm trying not to blow your mind whenever I jump back in with the mic audio here. Someone sent me this. This is posted from the Twitter page called Jesus Chrysler. This is a woman who I think this is some kind of comedian, or she's anointed herself kind of a comedian. She's just trying to be funny. But she does a little rant here about a tornado. I thought I'd share it with you.
Hey, this is Tiger Grandma with another weather report. It's raining like hell, it's hot, it's shit, it's humid, and there's a slight chance of a tornado tonight, and my plans got canceled. I had a date, but he's too chicken shit to drive in the fucking rain, and I was planning on getting me some sausage, so I am actually pissed the fuck off, and I'm going in the fucking house.
A woman was going to get her some sausage. But he was too chicken shit to drive out because there's a tornado coming. Or no, I'm sorry, what'd she say? Tornado. It's a tornado. Otherwise, in Oklahoma, we call them naders. I've never heard anyone call them naders. We just call them twisters or whatever. Oh, my God. So that was funny. There was one more thing. I just, and then I see there's somebody in the switchboard. We can start taking your calls. Do I have the call number on the screen? There it is for you. Somebody sent me this. Oh, it's a Funny or Die article. Make sure I'm aligned here so that you can see the article. They have apparently, somebody has, with a 3D printer, has developed Crocs. Except they're not Crocs for your feet, like the shoes for your feet. They're Crocs for your hands, complete with the handles on them. Funny or Die says, thanks to society's extremely low bar and the 3D printing efforts of Unnecessary Inventions. Oh, God, well, we got to go to that website. Unnecessary Inventions, you can now wear Crocs on your hands. You can now fully give in and let Crocs consume even more of your being with these foam hand prisons, featuring Crocs signature handles, which make even less sense on gloves. Supposedly, they're good for gardening. One day, I'll test it out and use Crocs gloves to dig my own grave by hand and bury myself alive out back so I may finally be free of this hell. So anyway, hang on. Let's go to unnecessary inventions here. Let's take
All
a
right,
look.
picture this.
Oh, wow.
Croc shoes,
It's a YouTube channel.
but for your hands. Let's make it a reality.
Okay, that's 11 minutes of him making the... Well, there's a whole YouTube channel.
You had some
It
questions.
says stop.
I got the
Sorry. Let's see. What else does he have? Building a do-it-yourself net gun to catch aliens in Area 51. We've got replica fingers comb. So it's a comb that looks like fingers that combs your hair. A vape kazoo, an ice cube necklace, a scooter computer commuter, automatic ice cream cone, the Unfold-O-Matic, the beer gimbal stabilizer. Oh, a beer gimbal? Oh, that's awesome. The Century Charger, 100-foot phone lighting cable, 100 feet lightning cable for the iPhone. That's my kind of channel. That's my kind of channel right there. Unnecessary inventions. Anyway, we've been laughing about that because, Crocs, I mean, I've never worn them. Good for you if they work for you. And Kate Farr, Bionic Dance, posted this as a response. Let me see if I can get this situated here. To the Crocs for hands, she sent this. It is the hander pants. They are underpants for your hands. Now, I don't know what these are. This has got to be some kind of a Spencer's gift kind of thing. But if, you're looking for a white elephant gift as the holidays approach in the next 4 months or whatever, you need some hander pants. Just Google. And honestly, I'm terrified to ask you to Google it. Like, I'm terrified to say, hey, Google that, because I honestly don't know what's going to come up if you say hander pants. I don't know. Let me throw the chat up on the left side of the screen, and we'll see if anybody wants to talk on the switchboard. Area code 305. You're on the Thinking Atheist podcast. Who's this?
Hi.
Hi. Who's this?
Hello? Hi. My name's Elizabeth. I recently discovered you because I finally had the courage of admitting that I'm an atheist after being indoctrinated since I was a child. And I finally decided that in my 40s, I've had enough of the nonsense. And discovering your show has been almost life sent because I also have the same situation with my family where they are very, very religious. And I finally even had the courage to tell them that I didn't quite use the word atheist, but I said that I just don't want to talk about God anymore. And my father's reply to that was, I feel sorry for you. And that was really... Anyway, I'm having a lot of issues with them and how to deal with them. And I feel guilt because I hate disappointing them, and I feel like I've disappointed them. But for too long, I lived the life that they wanted me to live, and I can't do that anymore. I couldn't do it any longer.
Awesome. Well,
I just want to say thank you.
I'm glad to hear from you. May I ask what you came out of, religion-wise?
Southern Baptist.
Oh, so the frozen chosen.
Yeah, exactly.
Literal hell and all that.
And it's that. Oh yeah, I lived. And the funny thing is that my father, when he said that I feel sorry for you, and I told him, Dad, I can't believe you're telling me this because I cannot tell you how free I finally feel that I don't have this huge weight on me any longer because I don't have the fears that I grew up with. I was such a fearful child. Like, everything scared me, everything, even the dark, because I was afraid of ghosts coming because there's the Holy Ghost and then these other ghosts that are not holy that if I declare them to be gone in the name of, the blood of Jesus Christ, they will be gone and blah, 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 all that nonsense that was like just force fed onto me as a child. And it feels amazing, but I still feel, I hate, basically what I want to ask is when will this when will the guilt go away, or when will I feel normal? I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean?
get
It's
you.
like,
Look, I get you. You know what? You don't need an answer from me. I think you just need me to remind you that it's okay, and it's okay. Tell your dad first of all not to get his hander pants in a snit. All right, he just needs to just relax himself a little bit. When I told my dad that I was in a good place, because I did the same thing. I've never been more liberated and free and centered. And he's like, and he just wasn't buying it. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're miserable, son.
yeah.
The truth is that they're probably not going to get it. I say never give up on them. Just make sure that you make your journey kind of about you, not trying to convince them. But let me encourage you. You and I did a lot of the same kind of stuff. I mean, I was around 40 when I started to finally say enough. And, I came out of that, and, it took a couple of years for some of the weirdness to go away, but it does happen. And then you get to this point where you think, man, if they gave me the chance to go back. Are you angry now?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of anger, especially when people will tell me, "Oh, God bless you," or I'm an opera singer, for example, and I get a lot of the bullshit that people will say, "Oh, you have a God-given talent," and I got so sick and tired of hearing that crap because, yeah, okay, fine, it's a quote-unquote God-given talent, but I bust my ass to cultivate it. I bust my ass to become a professional in this field for as long as I have, and I feel like every time someone says, "Oh, God bless you with your God-given talent," it's like they just wash it, like they don't credit me for all the hard work I did,
Yeah.
And it ticks me off. I have a lot of anger.
Well, you have the right to be angry. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have the right to feel kind of pissed off about the time that you lost and the way that you're treated and the fact that they're probably a little bit condescending when they deal with you, and you're right to be angry about a lot of the injustice that happens because of religion and the fact that people aren't listening. I get it. And, you can give yourself permission to be irritated at all this stuff. I think that's just fine. But I will say, to answer your original question.
I just don't want to be with it anymore.
No. I think anger's no way to live, right? So anger's part of a larger model. Like if we're always angry, that just eats you alive from the inside. But it's very common, and you can talk to people in the chat room when they came out of a faith and they had to deal with religious people. They went through probably a few years of just, I don't know, it's like everything was a very sensitive nerve, and they just were livid. But that wanes. Now, it wanes at different times for different people, but I think in almost every case, it does wane. It does go. And then you begin to center yourself. You can breathe more. You're sleeping better. You are able to enjoy the good stuff more. So, I mean, if you're hot out of religion, I think give yourself a pass. Don't beat yourself up. And give it time. Take a breath. Hang out with good people like the people in this community who will have your back and remind you that you're not crazy. And I really am convinced it's going to go away. And if it doesn't go away tomorrow, that's okay. But I think it will go away, okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Elizabeth, you inspire me. You are another one who, you figured it out. You like me, we were late to the party, but we're here, and where are the margaritas? You know what I'm saying? So good for you.
Yeah, it's good to know. Thank you. Thank you very much. I love your show. You're awesome.
I appreciate you very much. I mean, I'm not Yoda on this subject. Everybody's journey's different. And I hear a lot of these, when will this happen? Or when will I not feel like I miss religion? Because some people really do miss that structure. And when will I stop being this or feeling this way? And I mean, I don't know the answer to those questions. I don't know how you're made. I don't know. There's so many gears in that machine. I'm not Yoda on this deal. I just think I can't speak to the specifics of your life. All I know is I can speak to trends that I see as somebody who's kind of at a point position as an atheist activist. And you see, when you come out, you're dealing with all of this sort of a sense of betrayal is a good way to say it. Oh, God. I mean, why? Why is no one listening to me? And why can't I break through? And why won't they leave me alone? And how many years, how many decades did I waste when I was bad? And I was saying these bad ideas. I influenced other people. Now they've got bad ideas. So I feel guilty for that. And mom and dad are all pissed off. And they're agitated, and they're not getting any younger, and the more stressed out they are, then they tell the other siblings and the whole family, and it makes the holidays weird, and I feel like I'm responsible, even though it's my life, damn it. I mean, you have this whole thing going on, right? And it has been my experience that, with a few exceptions, there is a time after your initial exit where you just start to find more balance. And I'm a believer in balance. I'm a believer in not having one single temperature every day of your life, not getting your hand or pants in a knot all the time, 24 hours a day. Life's too short to get your knotted hand or pants in the, I don't even know why that word just makes me laugh out loud. Hander, just say it out loud. It's funny. Hand or pants. Let's see. I've got 316 in on the switchboard. 316. You're on the Thinking Atheist podcast. Hi, who's this?
Hi, am I live?
You are live. You are global. Who's this?
Oh my God, I am. Oh, cool. Thanks. Hi, this is Elena. I'm from Amsterdam, Holland, the Netherlands.
Forgive me, I missed your first name. Did you say Elena?
Helena. Yeah, with an H.
So nice to meet you. No, I was in Amsterdam last November. Lovely place.
Yeah. You love your stroke waffles, right?
Never seen so many bicycles in all of my life. They had like a 4-story garage filled with bicycles. It was amazing. So,
yeah, there are more bicycles than people in Amsterdam, I think.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, what's happening in your world? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I think I became an atheist like a couple of months ago, sort of, mostly thanks to you. So really? I guess I just want to say thank you for opening my eyes.
Hang on. I mean, I don't mean to interrupt right off the bat, but let's hear. First of all, whatever happened, you did it, okay? But you think you're an atheist, or you think you became one? What does that mean?
No, I know. Well, it took a while. It's not like from one day to the next, but no, I know I'm an atheist now, but the past few months took me a while to figure it out.
And, I mean, what's that look like for you?
And, well, I guess it started coming out as lesbian, and then studying that in the Bible, and I started to read the Bible for the first time properly, and I realized how crazy it all is.
Yeah.
I guess is the conclusion.
So, I mean, how are you? You're pretty fresh out of the faith. Are you doing all right?
Yeah, kind of. I'm not out to my parents as an atheist. I am as a lesbian, and that's not going well. So I'm not planning on telling them I'm an atheist too anytime soon.
Yeah. Do I really want to go in and compound the amount of grief that I'm getting by adding another layer to this conversation? They haven't cast you off, have they? I mean, I certainly hope not. No, they're more like, we hate the sin, not the sinner. Oh. We can't come to your wedding, but we still love you. And they do still treat me the same, so I'm very lucky in that sense. But I don't know how they would deal with me being an atheist. My father's a pastor, and he has been so all my life. So, yeah, they're quite deep in. They wouldn't go to your wedding?
No, I had an argument about it yesterday with my mom, and no, they're very set on that. I thought I'd give them some time to think about it, but if I were to get married, they wouldn't be there.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Well, I mean,
it's weird. Yeah,
look,
my brother just got married.
If we were neighbors, I would be there. If you wanted an officiant, I would be there. And I know a lot of people feel the same
you'll definitely get an invite.
I mean,
you'll definitely get an invite if you happen to be in Europe at that time, or if I do get married one day.
For me, yeah. But I mean, love who you love, be who you are. And I'm sorry about mom and dad, but that's on them. You who you are, living life on your terms, that's beautiful. And I'm excited for you. And you know what? When that day comes, I hope whatever your wedding looks like, you're surrounded by the people who accept you for who you are and will celebrate that next chapter without any condition or reservation. That's the kind of support you really need. So a big hug from me to you, and you just keep kicking, okay?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just going to keep listening. Thank you so much.
All right, you take care.
Thanks for answering my call.
Oh, you bet. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
God, that makes me so mad. I'm not going to go to the wedding is blackmail. Marry who we say, or the kind of person we say, or I'm not going to your wedding. A punitive strike against a child because they aren't living the way the parent says they should live makes me so mad. Ugh. Ugh. Do this, think this, don't say that, don't believe this, don't reject this, or else we'll kick you out of the house. We'll cut off your inheritance. We won't allow you to participate in our lives. We won't ever see you, which means we won't see the grandkids. Or else is kind of this, it's this punitive thing that people throw out to try to get you to do what they want their way, even though it's your life. God, it makes me so mad. Damn it, now my hand-pants are in a wad. Sorry about that, folks. FYI, and let me bring this up on screen for those who are watching. Pull this down. I am about to kick off the next set of tours. I just did we had a great time in Denver for the Colorado Secular Conference, and here's what's coming up for me, okay? I'm going to be in Lincoln, Nebraska, August the 10th. We're going to be at a Unitarian church, of all places. I love the Unitarians. They're very good to me. So that's a free deal on August the 10th. There's 2 dates in the Detroit area. I'm going to be in Grand Rapids, September the 11th, and Farmington Hills, I guess. That's a suburb of Detroit. Do I have that right? That's coming up September the 11th and 12th, $5 suggested donation just to pay for expenses and stuff like that. The Florida Free Thought event, that's the weekend of November 1st through the 3rd. They've got a massively awesome lineup going on, a whole weekend of events. freeflow.org is the website. That's going to be at the Holiday Inn, Orlando. And I'm going to be with Matt Dillahunty. I'm going out there we're just going to do Seth and Matt on stage, engaging the audience and having a great time. That's sponsored by the Humanist Society of Greater Phoenix. That's November 9th in Phoenix. Going to be an event at the Doubletree. And all the details on all of these are at sethandrews.net/events. All right, so you got me, Lincoln. We got Grand Rapids, we got Farmington Hills / Detroit, Orlando, Phoenix. It's all online, sethandrews.net/events. Area code 618. You're on the Thinking Atheist podcast. Hi, who's this?
Is this me?
It is you.
I think this is me.
And this is an existential question. Is this me? Right? Is this real life? What's your name?
Oh, yeah. My name is Stefan Davidson.
Nice to meet you, Stefan. What's on your mind?
Well, for one, I just heard the last caller, and I just want to say it's very, very tough. I'm actually bisexual, but I haven't come out to like anybody in my life because I know exactly what they're going to say, and also I do agree that's complete and total bullshit. If I may be going too far with this, but if they really truly love you, then they need to put their crappy religion aside and support you in what you do, as long as it doesn't hurt you or anybody else. But anyway, so I recently got into a conversation with my mother. I post a lot of stuff on my Facebook about theists and whatnot, and I was called a troll on one of them because I was debating some of my family members, and my mom came in and commented, "Don't call my God a dick. I don't like that. You wouldn't want people calling you a dick." And I kind of thought, well, I'm sorry, but for one, if you didn't like this, you should have moved on. If you don't like what I'm going to say or don't want to comment on it, then don't freaking do it. So then I found out a little earlier she actually removed me from her Facebook because of what I was saying, and I asked her, what did you actually do that? She said yes. I just didn't want to. I'm upset, and I did not want to be upset with you. And I kind of thought, wait a second. Why would you be upset with me, even though I already know the exact answer to it? And it was, I told my mom, we probably shouldn't talk about religion because I know exactly where it's going to go. But at the same time, it's not me that you shouldn't be pissed off at me. I wanted to tell her, if anything, you should be pissed off at your deity, your imaginary friend, that he's going to send me to hell just because I don't believe in him or follow his bullshit. And, my mother is one of those types of people who gets pissed off about the simplest of things. And I don't know. It just, I'm wondering whether or not we should actually sit down and talk about it and try and hash it out, or whether or not I should just leave it alone and keep it as, fine. If you want to be pissed off or upset or whatever, go for it. But I told her I'm not going to stop speaking my mind. I'm not going to stop posting this kind of stuff, talking with people. It's not going to happen. So,
yeah. All right. Well, hang on. We'll split this into two different things. First of all, if you have a sit down, what's your end goal? What do you want to accomplish with her?
At first, I was hoping to, make her see, help her see that what she believes in honestly, it's really silly. And
okay, all right. Well, let me stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there, and I have a reason for doing so. Okay.
Go ahead.
There are many who might disagree with me, but I think that will only drive you crazy, and I wouldn't bother. Your conversations with her are not to change her mind. She's doubling down, the backfire effect fully in place. She is now in defense mode, the wall's up to protect her Jesus. You are a threat to everything that she has held dear, which is why she doesn't want to see you challenging religion, because she takes her faith so personally. I wonder if she has like more an emotional faith than an intellectual, like she doesn't even have good apologist arguments. She just knows that my Jesus loves me kind of thing. Is that close to what she's like?
Yeah, okay. I'm almost exactly like her. So okay, yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. So, you're not going to change her mind. If that's your goal, cancel the meeting, dude. Save yourself. Run the other direction. Right. If you have a conversation, I think it needs to be about saying that, my page is mine and I can post whatever I want. And if it makes you uncomfortable and you want to unfriend me or unfollow, that's your prerogative. That's fine. Right. But my life belongs to me. So that conversation is about boundaries. And that's the second part of it. You're not going to change her. I think you just need to focus on living your life. And if you have a conversation, I think it needs to be about something that you can control, which is where the boundaries exist in your own life. But, if you're trying to change mom's mind on this deal, you will go mad. I will get a call from you in 4 weeks, and you're going to be like about to jump from the top of a bridge. I can't take it anymore.
Right. Right. Exactly.
I'm sorry about that.
And
parents can be tough. I get that. So.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully things go well. My little sister, who's 14, came to me and asked me some questions, and I don't really know quite how much my sister is like my mom, but I'm kind of hopeful. But it is what it is. But, look, thank you so much.
If you're going after them, if you're always throwing out the aside and pinging them all the time, you're going to irritate them to the point where they start to buckle down and double down. And I think if you're doing if you are living your life, and hey, Stefan is doing great, and he's got a great life, and he's a happy dude, and he's fulfilling his dreams. He's generated his own sense of purpose. He's charitable. He is really not all the stuff that mom warned us about. And then I have a feeling that creates an environment where sis can come to you and say, hey, look, I got some doubts. I got some questions. And because she doesn't feel attacked, it doesn't feel like you've been going after her, that she's a target, she can come to you and perhaps change her mind from a position of safety. People change their minds from a position of safety. And if they don't feel safe, if they feel attacked, you will not be able to change their minds. You need to create an environment personally where you are a safe place where they can come. And that's where I'd start, okay?
All right. Thank you so much, man.
All right. Take care of yourself, brother.
You too. Bye.
All right. That's a tough one, I've got people around me who, if I've tried years ago. I sat down and I was like, this is stupid. This doesn't make any sense. There's 4 contradictions to this verse in this verse, and it's in the same book, and I can't believe. And what about this? And you got space water, and you've got a 900-year-old human beings, and you got talking donkeys, and you got blood magic, and you've got all the flying chariots of fire, and a guy who has himself pinned to a couple pieces of wood 1,400 years before the invention of the printing press so that anonymous authors can tell us about all of this bullshit in the 21st century. Come on, we got to grow up. It's Santa Claus for adults. This is how I used to talk. 2 people, one-on-one about religion, thinking, well, if I just show them how fucking ridiculous it is, then they'll be like, oh, look, I really have been ridiculous. And I'm going to change my mind. And now I will join the chorus of reason and we will run together toward the bright light and a wonderful future. I actually had these naive beliefs. And the opposite happened. They were like, my belief's not stupid. You're stupid. My belief's not wrong. You're doubly wrong. And it was a psychological effect going on that I was completely unaware of, and I had to learn a lot about. I had to learn to slow down. And if I did engage, I started to use more questions. Who wrote it? How do you know that's the case? Where do you get your evidence for that? What about the religion Y over here that believes the same thing, but their God has a different proper name? Can you demonstrate what you are selling me? And leaves the burden of proof on them and takes the pressure off of me, and it keeps me from losing my freaking mind. That's a goal, I think, when we try to engage other people. Try not to lose your mind. 603, you're on the Thinking Atheist podcast. Hi, who's this?
Hi, this is David Maple. How are you?
I'm well, David. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to say thanks for being our voice. That was about all I really wanted to say, but you've done well, and I wish you success and keeping it real. It's tough. I'm an angry atheist, and I try to not be so angry. It's tough. It's tough dealing with the crap that's going on out there.
Those people, they can really get into your underpants, and I totally understand.
Yeah,
my friend. I totally get it.
Yeah, and it's I want to lead with love, and it's hard when I'm dealing with craziness. But anyway, Look, I want to keep watching the show, and
all right.
I wish you all the best. Thank you for being you.
Much appreciated. Thank you so much. You know what? You need some happy.
Take care.
If you're watching the stream, hang on. I got this. So Linus, of course, is my little rescue dog, and I'm sort of that person. I'm always taking photographs and video of my dog. Like Natalie's mom, her dog just passed away at the age of 17. She doesn't watch this show, so I can say this, but I mean, it was time. I mean, the dog looked like a zombie. It was just, it was time. But, she's got portraits and photos and stuff. I mean, the dog is all over the house, right? All the kids are moved out, so it all became about the dog. And I've kind of become that guy where I'm always taking photographs. I post at least one image of Linus every single day because he's so damn cute. Well, he was looking up at me from the bed. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, and I think he knew it was time to go on a WALK. He's sitting right below my feet. So we were going to go on a walk, which is one of his favorite things to do. And I caught video and turned it into what is it, an animated GIF or an animated GIF? GIF. I read it, but I never really know how to say it. But that's the animation I got for the YouTube viewers. Forgive me for the podcast listeners. You can't see it. But my dog's looking up with his head cocked to the right, and his little tail is wagging, and he is just about the cutest thing ever in the history of cute things. And so I've got that here. I'll just copy the link and stick it in the chat. So you guys, short link, you guys just share this. If you know somebody who needs some happy, there you go. Just share that. Little animated GIF. Is that right, Rudolph? GIF with a J. It sounds like with a J. So that just makes, I mean, who could resist that? Whoops, I lost it. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah. There you go. GIF or GIF? With a G or with a J? I mean, who could look at that wagon tail and be sad? You know, who could look at that wagon tail and be sad? Animated GIF, according to the person who invented the GIF. GIF to me sounds like peanut butter, but I'm going to go with it. Back to the switchboard, area code 206. Hi, who's this?
Hi, this is Gabrielle.
Hi, Gabrielle. Talk to me. What's on your mind?
So I'm kind of shocked that I got through, or
no, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah,
you're doing great.
My first time calling in. So I'm a recent atheist. So I had a deconversion a few weeks ago, like officially, and it's been amazing for the most part. And so I listen to like podcasts, Atheist Experience, like a lot. And it really helps. And so I guess one, I am just like so thankful because part of my conversion happened with a coworker that is an atheist, and so she was constantly asking me questions and challenging me for about a solid 2 years.
Wow.
And so I'm just like so thankful. So for one, you just never know, right? You never know what the other person is thinking or what they're going through. And I know I've told some people, and some people have been like, which kind of amazes me because some of these are people I used to go to church with, have been like, yeah, I don't know if I believe it either. And I'm like, what?
And imagine what that does for them, because they're thinking, well, kind of where am I? But if they see someone else, now they're not alone. Now there might be something to this. You might have emboldened them to go a little further on their own journey. Didn't even know it.
Yeah, so it's been amazing, but I think also there are people, like my mom is one of them, and I live with her, and she's not really religious, but she also definitely believes. And so I have a 5-year-old who's about to turn 6, and he, so there is kind of like, I feel like this back and forth where I'm asking questions, like I'm telling him, you can believe, that's fine. Mommy doesn't believe. But I ask him, like, what does God look like? How do you think and usually he describes, like, the Jesus picture, right? He's white with brown flowy hair. And I'm like, okay, where did that come from? A picture. Right. Okay. So I don't know. So I just kind of struggle with that. And I know we went through storage and, I threw anything that has to do with Jesus in my room is like in the garbage. Because I'm just like, don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
But she was just like, about Christmas, she's like, we're not yet, baby. So she's just like, well, that's what hold on 1 second, baby. Sorry,
no,
my son.
Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do.
Yeah. So it's just, it's just very interesting because she just feels like, well, that's still the reason. So it's just so hard.
Okay.
So
all right. Here, I think I'm.
Any feedback?
I think I'm picking up what you're throwing down. All right. I know you got to go because it sounds like you've got a priority right there. I want you to email me, Seth@thethinkingatheist.com. I'm going to send you a link to a podcast we did on secular parenting. Okay. And this talks about like, what do you do with grandparents and play? Right? They're going like, well, who's going to take the child to church and those types of things. And that's going to happen. And it's going to become a boundary issue, right? I've had grandparents sneak the kids off to the religious exercise or even a salvation prayer without the parents knowing. Huge taboo, huge no. So I'm going to send you that. Dale McGowan also has a great book. Email me and I'll send you the link. Also, I want you to start looking at resources that encourage kids how to think, not what to think. And one great resource is produced a series of books that get you excited about science and scientists in the real world. And it's called Tiny Thinkers. So the website is tinythinkersbooks.com. Okay? tinythinkersbooks.com. And they're fun to look at. You can read the book with your child. and get them excited. Obviously, it's their journey, but it's also your responsibility as a parent to make sure that
Right.
nobody else is running interference, coming in behind you, trying to indoctrinate. And
Right.
so you're
Yeah.
cultivating
Because
curiosity
I
in the
already feel
child.
guilty enough that he's had 5 years of me indoctrinating. So there's some guilt there, but I'm trying to just,
You know,
do the next best
don't
thing.
you feel guilty? Don't you feel guilty? Look. Kids are smarter, sometimes smarter than we think, I think. So if you were like,
True.
I was wrong. I mean, it's okay for a parent to say, I had this idea, but I learned something new. And now I realize that my first idea
Yeah.
it's not wrong is wrong, but there's a whole other idea over here. Would you like to learn more about the idea with me? I mean, to teach a
Okay.
child that, we can improve our information whenever we discover something new and whenever it's better
Right.
information and we can update our brains. That's a lesson that's worth teaching, and there's no guilt attached at all.
Right.
And you guys could do that together. So don't beat yourself up. You're doing fine, okay?
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, and I've kind of talked to him about that. I've apologized. I've shown him some of the research that's, really was part of my journey. So that helps. And he is like very like math and science kid. So I've been really like pushing the science.
Yeah.
So
Eric in the chat room just helped us out.
I will email
Dale McGowan.
Yeah,
The book is
so-
called Raising a Free Thinking Child. And you can just email me.
Raising a Free-
Yeah, or email
Okay.
me, Seth, at thethinkingatheist.com. It sounds like you're on the fly. None of this is going to stick. You probably don't have anything to write on. Seth at thethinkingatheist.com.
I don't know.
Okay, and I will hook you
But
up.
yeah, I'll email you. Thank you so much.
Okay, you take care. Yeah.
Goodbye.
How frustrating would that be? And I've had our kid went over to Grandpa and Grandma's, or Meemaw and Papa's, or whatever you call them. And when we were out of town that weekend, they took our child to church, to Sunday school, and had them say the salvation prayer. God, I hear stories like that, and I'm just like, that is just so inappropriate. That is just so inappropriate, and it's so sneaky and underhanded. Oh, just makes you crazy. We'll do a few more and then call it a day. It's been fun so far. Thanks, everybody, for the kind words. It's greatly appreciated. I've got 530. You're on the Thinking Atheist podcast. Hi, tell me your name.
My name is Peggy.
Hi, Peggy.
And Seth, I've been listening to you since the beginning, and you literally got me out of a relationship with a man that was, your typical evangelical person that tried to tell me that, he gets his morals from the Bible and all that stuff, and I listened to a caller that you had last time you did one of these, and he said something to me that made a lot of sense, although now I can't remember what the hell it was, but you have to extract yourself from areas, from places in your life in order to have happiness. Well, we lived in Arkansas at the time, and we had since moved back here, and now I live in a little mountain valley town in Northern California, just out of Wairika, and it's not only am I dealing with all the religious stuff, I'm also dealing with the state of Jefferson and the mind idea set, and it's so hard to deal with people around here, with that mindset.
Yeah.
Battery low.
Whoops, your battery's low. You better go plug in somewhere.
I know,
my friend.
I got my headset on, but you feel like you're losing the battle.
Yeah.
You feel like you're just not going to make it anymore, and then I start meeting people that are these older people that I'm meeting down here in this mountain valley there's a lot of atheists also. But here you got the food pantry, which I go to. You go to the food pantry, and then you really get to understand the real mindset of everybody in this valley when they start talking about how they're trying to make us socialists. And, Trump is trying to help us. And I turned to this guy and I said, "You realize it's the socialists that are making these food pantries available? Don't you realize that, because of our socialist ideals, that we've got, our fire departments and stuff?" And I know I'm all over the place, but it's pent up frustration. You've helped me so much.
Well, I'm glad the community's been there for you, and I'm so thankful for the kind words. It's funny, I used to be that guy. I was like, private good, government bad. And meanwhile, I was, we were enjoying public schools. I didn't go to one, but everybody around me was. I was driving on roads paid for with taxpayer dollars. I was enjoying all of these fruits of an infrastructure that was put in place that sort of falls under a socialist or a kind of socialist model. I was just uneducated, and I'm not a straight absolutist socialist kind of guy. But I also understand that the role of government is and can be very, very important in infrastructure in place that's funded by the population that uses it. I think that is important, and it shouldn't be a threat to people. I feel this way about healthcare, and that's a whole other conversation. But remember, there in California, you're not alone. It's going to be all right. You got people out here. You got people. Okay.
You have no idea how isolating it is up here. In a small mountain valley town, the closest I can go is Wairika. And you talk about state of Jefferson.
You say mountain California,
mind-blowing.
And all I hear is like it's an old west town where you're
I'm literally 30 minutes from the border of Oregon, so this is true Northern California.
So,
all those people down in the Bay Area, that's not Northern California. I hate that.
Wait. Are we talking about people with like gun racks and cowboy hats? Are we talking about that kind of thing, or?
A lot of hay farmers, a lot of cattle farmers.
Yeah.
You don't see the gun racks because this is California. You're not allowed to do that.
Hey, you're not anywhere near Murder Mountain, are you? I just saw that documentary on Netflix. Do you know where that's at?
What?
Murder Mountain. I'm gonna have to go look it up. There's a documentary called Murder Mountain. It's this place where everybody used to grow weed.
Oh, Murder Mountain.
And
we all grow weed out here. What are you kidding?
It's the national plant.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be Croptober pretty soon.
Croptober. That's awesome. Hey, you just keep kicking. I just think this is an exciting time to be alive. It's frustrating for those of us in the middle of it, but I think the looking glass, looking back the other way, will look at this time in American history as a time when we saw a sea change, a culture change, a temperature change, and the greater marginalization of religion. And that's why these religious televangelist types and the Falwells, Robertsons, Paula Whites, that's why they're hitting the roof, losing their mind, freaking out, because they can feel the power and the influence slipping through their fingers. And you and I are right there to demand equal treatment, right? We're going to get equal treatment at the table under the Constitution. And so it's a good time to be a free thinker in the United States. Not easy, but it's a good time.
Preach it, brother. Preach it. Preach it.
All right.
Amen.
Well, you go grow your crop, and we'll see you in Croptober.
Hey.
Croptober.
I want to say happy anniversary to you and Natalie. Natalie's a lucky woman.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate you. It's
okay. You have a great day.
All righty, I will do so. It's funny. I always tell people I married up, and I feel that way. I'm married way up. And then you see people who lose their mind and get mad about almost anything. And I've talked about this quite a bit. I went on Facebook and I said, Natalie said, how did I say it? Natalie is a fully loaded Lexus, and I am a homemade go-kart. But when we rev our engines, we make beautiful music together. And, I always say I'm a little rough around the edges, and, she's the one who's all polished up and pretty classy. And so I got a stern email in my inbox. This was 4 years ago, maybe. Someone who was angry with me for what I had said. I said, well, what's the matter? And she said, you just insulted your wife. Okay. You said she was a Lexus and you were a go-kart? Yeah, I did. I said I was a Lexus and she was a go-kart. And she said, well, by saying that she's a Lexus but you're just a go-kart, you are implying that she's too stupid to know how to pick out a good man. So I said, hey, hang on, hold on. Just say, hold on, hang on, hold on. I said, hey, honey, come here just a second. I had Natalie come in. I did listen to this. And I read the email out loud, and she's like, what the hell is she talking about? There are some people who live in a state of perpetual offense. It's the sentiment behind it was just pure and kind of fun. She's a fully loaded Lexus. I'm the go-kart put together. We rev our engines and we make beautiful music together. You just insulted her by saying she's too dumb because she's a woman. She doesn't know how to pick out a good man. God, it's amazing. I mentioned on Twitter we were talking about somebody who had, I guess Hitler came up in a conversation, and I used the word madman to describe Hitler, which is, I think it's pretty appropriate. I was called out for being ableist. You just insulted everybody in the world who suffers from mental illness by calling Adolf Hitler a madman. You're diminishing their plight in the fight that they have to try to deal with mental illness and the stigma in society. Blah, 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 blah. Just stop. Stop it. Stop. Oh. 650. Hi, you're on the Thinking Atheist podcast. Who's this?
This is Dan from California. Also,
Dan, what's going on? What's on your mind?
I'm calling just to compliment you on your success over the years. It's been almost a decade.
Is this like
since you started your channel?
It's almost like, is this some sort of a? I'm trying to think. Everybody's been so complimentary today. Specifically, I'm wondering, is there like did someone post something somewhere? Hey, go tell Seth thanks. I feel like I'm the guest of honor here.
Well, it's the first time two of us have been able to speak with you over the air.
Oh wow! Well, I mean, I'm not blowing it off, man. It blows my mind. Thank you so much for the kind words. I really do.
Anyway, yeah, your channel really influenced my deconversion.
Good.
Since 2011, but I really find your story inspiring, and it really encourages people with the same last name, because I'm also an Andrews.
Oh yeah.
So it's
my brother.
It's sort of like
Hermano, my brother. I feel you. You and I are of the same line.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Thanks for all you do, and I'm still going to be listening as long as you're producing. So
you're very kind. Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Take care.
All right. I've updated my autobiography, Deconverted. I mentioned this before, but let me just sort of tell you why I'm updating it. It released 2012, I think. Yeah. And it's funny when you go back and you look at something over the years and you see ways that it can be improved. Obviously, it's an autobiography, so my story hasn't changed. But I've found that, there were a few words I wish I had used differently, a couple of things I wish I had phrased differently. I wanted to replace the foreword in the book, and so I sent a feeler out to Richard Dawkins. Now, I know Dawkins for some people is a controversial guy, but the truth remains that he was instrumental. His book, The God Delusion, was a game changer in my life. It was part of what got me out of religion. It was one of those things that helped to rip the shackles off my arms and allow me to give myself permission to be free. His book was huge for me. That will always be the case, no matter what happens, no matter if he puts his foot in his mouth on Twitter, or no matter if somebody calls him this or says he's that. He's a flawed, occasionally problematic human being, but he is also one of the most influential science educators of the last 50 years and the most influential atheist activist in the world, period. And so I threw a sort of a trial balloon out and said, hey, is that right? I threw a feeler out. Trial balloon is something else. And I said, I'm re-releasing Deconverted. It'd be an honor if Dawkins would write the foreword. And the response came back, let me think about it. Let me think about that. And a few days passed, and I got a message that said, "How's this sound?" And it was a written forward. It was a written forward. And so I've replaced the forward. Chapters 1 through 18 are pretty much the same. But the last portion of the book was a lot of counter-apologetics arguments and talking about the movement and the site. And those numbers were just wildly out of date. And a lot of the arguments that I had put in there were outdated because I was relatively fresh out of religion. I mean, in 2012, I only said atheist in regard to myself in 2008. I have changed how I talk to non-believers. I've changed how I frame my arguments. And I thought, well, if I'm going to present these as resources for potential, street epistemologists out there, I want to update these resources so that they're better. So I talk a little bit more about the movement, not in 2012, but the movement, the atheist movement, define that how you will, in 2019, 2020. I go through and I've updated a lot of the counter-apologetics arguments that we can use if people come after us about the evolution of the eye. The eye is too complex to have evolved. Hitler was an atheist. There are no atheists in foxholes. Where do you get your morals from? Are you just angry at God? Those types of things. Why are you so obsessed with your atheism? Why can't you leave religion alone? I've just made these better all the way across the board. And so the last 3 chapters really got a good makeover, and there'll be a new cover on it. It says second edition on it, and it'll release in the next 4 to 8 weeks. But if you've already bought Deconverted, don't buy it again. Don't buy it again. It's not worth it. This is just for a new audience, a potential new audience who might be able to use it as a resource if they happen to stumble upon it in the year 2020. At least it won't have old. I mean, it's so old that the numbers that we had as far as total downloads on the Thinking Atheist were, I think, 100,000. I can't believe we have 100,000 downloads. And, of course, today it's 50 million. And so I wanted to go through and have that reflected in the text. So no, whoever said it in the chat room, I'm not doing a George Lucas. I'm not making a special edition where I'm changing the actual content as much. I'm not changing the story is the same. The story is the same. But I'm improving some of the counter-apologetics arguments near the end, okay? And it'll be available probably September, October, something like that. Let's do 1 or 3 more real fast. 307, you're on the Thinking Atheist podcast. Hi, who's this?
Hi, my name's Casey.
Casey, thanks for waiting on me. What's on your mind?
Hey, it's funny. You had a couple callers ago. You had that woman from Northern California talking about living in Trump land, and I totally relate to that. I live in northern Wyoming, and it is Trump land here.
Yeah, just everybody's out there with
and
God and Country T-shirts on and a Stetson on their head and some George Strait on in the background kind of deal, or what?
Absolutely. I'm actually looking out my apartment window right now, and I see a Trump 2020 flag waving from somebody's flagpole. I am not kidding.
I'm so sorry for your
loss.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It is what it is. My employer has been talking about. He's very conservative, and he's been talking about we should sell the college and make it a private thing because we have a college here in my town. And it's just, it's pretty maddening.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Sometimes.
Well, hang in there, my friend.
That's not why I was calling.
That reason will prevail as we approach the 2020 elections. We live in what seems to be a never-ending election cycle. The second somebody's elected already, the pundits begin talking about the 4-year election ahead of that. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What else was on your mind?
I don't know. It feels like we live in a Twilight Zone episode where 2016 never ended.
Never ended. It just keeps going. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you actually about broadcasting and how you got into broadcasting, because I've actually been very interested. I've been buying equipment and writing scripts for like a podcast. Mm-hmm. And I've been interested in how you kind of broke into it. I know that podcasting was very different 10 years ago than it is now. But if you have any tips or tricks, I would love to hear what you have to say.
Well, podcasting didn't exist when I got into the business back in 1990. And it was one of those things
Mhm.
where everybody got into radio or television in a different way. Some people got a 4-year degree in communications. Other people just got a job working all night weekends, learned on the job and grew. We had you had people who got
Mhm.
master's degrees in broadcasting, and then you got people like the late Peter Jennings, anchor for ABC News, who was a high school dropout. Everybody gets in a different way. As far as podcasting is concerned, it's interesting because I love the fact that everybody's got a voice. Everybody can do a runaround from all the sort of corporate, these tightly manicured and sort of cordoned off corporate talk radio structures. We can do an end run around that and do radio our own way online. It's harder to get noticed because there's 100,000 squillion podcasts out there. The advice I
Yeah.
always give everybody is that a good voice is helpful, but it's not what makes a good podcast. You are playing to your gifts, do what you know, be honest about what you don't know, make it a journey. People love stories. Don't fake it. So if something's not funny, don't be those guys who are just yucking it up like most FM radio shows, morning shows, whenever you're driving through a town and you turn it on and you just want to shoot yourself in the head. And I think take it slow. Allow yourself time to develop your own signature style. Figure out what works for you, what you should and want to sound like. When you make a mistake, listen back to your work a lot and evaluate yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, and don't do it the same day. Listen to yourself a week later and then go back and go, wow, I paused too much, or I used the word too much, or I stepped over my collars too much, which I have done all day today. My fault. I took too long to tell a story, or I missed an opportunity to tell a different story. Those are the tips that I give people. Do what you know. And try not to fake it. Try not to force it. Be who you are and see what happens. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Seth. I appreciate it. And again, to kind of hop on the bandwagon, I've been listening to you since 2012, and you've been pretty influential in my life, and I really appreciate everything you've done.
I appreciate you. You encourage me. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Man, it's a love fest. We are the world. Is that the right song? That's about feeding the children, isn't it? We are the children. 864. You're on the Thinking Atheist podcast. You made it. Who's this?
Hi, my name is Dexter. How are you?
Dexter, you are the name of one of my favorite shows until season 6. And then it was lost.
I'm assuming you're talking about the cartoon, I'm assuming.
No, I'm not talking about I'm sure everybody said, oh, Dexter, like Dexter, the television show. Oh, God, I love that show until season 6. And then season 6, season 7, season 8 were like, it was like I was being punished. So anyway, but I'm going to put that away. I'm not going to deal with that now. I'm going to talk to you, the man, Dexter. Thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Well, I was just thinking, I've been listening to you for a while now. I've been an atheist for about 5 years, and before that, I was a minister, and it was a difficult transition. But I listened to a lot of your callers, and I listened to you and Matt as well, and you guys seem so evolved in where you're at with how you talk to people and things like that. And I just can't seem to get into that place where when Christians say something to me that's completely ridiculous, to come to a place of almost ridiculing them for it.
Yeah.
While at the same time realizing sometimes I don't think I said anything quite that stupid, but there was definitely some flawed reasoning there. And it blows my mind because even with my own family, when I was a Christian, I felt like I was constantly urging them to do more, be better, be more like Christ. And now they try to pull me back the other way, and they take me to churches and things like this. I actually went to a faith healing event with them a couple of weeks ago, and it was so ridiculous. By the end of it, and the thing is I studied the ancient Near Eastern history and theology, and what people think is a Christian today is not at all what the early church would have looked like. I mean, these people were assholes. I mean, really. I mean, if you sit down and you really look at the things that like Tertullian said, and Justin Martyr, and Clement of Rome, and even the words of Christ, it's become all faith-based, and God will forgive you. No, He's actually not that forgiving. They got baptized, and then they thought you had to live the rest of your life free of willful sin. There was none of that. Oh, I messed up, God.
Yeah.
And you go back to Him.
My buddy Dave Fitzgerald, he's the author of the book Nailed, and he was saying that if you had practiced today's Christianity back in, say, the 11th century, they would have strung you up and burned you alive, right? Because you'd watered down the faith so much. It was a different Christianity.
Well, yes, and that's what made me pull away from the church, because every it's difficult when you talk to people, because they can't even really hear you because there's a block of fear. Because I had that at one time. When I was growing up, I always knew that I was gay, and I told my parents when I was a kid, and they freaked out, completely freaked out. And they sent me to therapy and all this other stuff. And I was actually pushed into marrying this woman, and she knew I was gay, and all this different. And I lived in that for almost a decade. And then one day I was just like, look, neither one of us are happy, and I don't think this is real anymore. So do you want out? And I actually found out she'd been having an affair for years. And I was like, I'm not mad. Just go be happy. And even to this day, like, my family wants to push me back into something like that. And I try to tell them, it's like, even if I were to try to convert again, like, God would never be okay with that. Your God actually doesn't even like you that much. And I don't know, how do you get to that place of just being kind of okay with that pushy and trying to...
Well, look, I have my moments, man. I mean, I try to put my best face forward when I'm out here on this very public platform, because I really do want to lead by example. But I have my moments. There was somebody on Twitter earlier today, a Twitter feed called The Transformed Wife, that was essentially saying, women, look at your bodies. You are made to be able to become, this isn't what she said, but the gist was to become impregnated so that you may carry forth babies to help populate the earth. This is God's, His design for you. Essentially, hey, women, look at your bodies. You are baby factories. This is what this woman was trying to say, the transformed wife. And I mean, I was looking at this going, this is just back asswards thinking. This is just stupid. And, I was a little bit barbed in my reply, and I went back and I typed in a quote from the transformed wife, ostensibly, and I said, women, look at your bodies. God made your feet smaller so you could stand closer to the sink. That's what the transformed wife thinks about women, because that's what came out of me at the moment. That's sarcasm, and it just burst out of. So I have my moments. So, I'm not this guy who always gets it right. On the larger, grander stage, I think it's not only healthy to ridicule the ridiculous, sometimes it's therapeutic. It feels good to be able to roast those sacred cows, just crank up the heat and just let them have it. These people are not used to being criticized. These ideas are used to being given deferential treatment, and it's healthy for us to say, this is stupid. This is destructive. I reject this. And so, hey, if you feel that, if that's coming out of you in an organic way, I think do it. When it comes to the one-on-ones, that's I think when I try to dial it down just a little bit with the one-on-ones, because if I'm in the business of changing minds anyway, if they're coming after me like an apologist and I get that condescension, then I will say the snark returns and I'm a little more caustic with them. So.
Yeah, even like at that faith healing thing, they had a man there that had HIV, and they were telling him that they could heal him. They come over to me, and they start putting hands on me. My family's getting all emotional about it. And then
now, why was he putting his hands on you? Did they say that you were an atheist?
Well, yeah, here's the thing. I'll participate. I tell them all the time, look, I'll play your game, but are you ever going to play mine? And we go, and they touch me, and I prayed over it. And he said, do you need anything healed? I said, I am gay. And I said, and I also have impotence. But ever since you guys been laying hands on me, I feel at least one of those has been cured. And, you know, because it's just a big joke to me.
Okay, well, hang on.
And, you know, my family.
Hold on. You were at the faith healing service, and this guy knew enough about you to come and lay his hands on you. What did he know about you?
Oh, yeah, my family had already told him everything.
Okay.
I mean, that's the thing. All these things are set up before I even get there.
Oh,
You know,
that's
it's
just
ridiculous.
bullshit. Look, you don't have to subject yourself to that. Like, if you want to go and watch these charlatans play out what they play out so you can speak to it in the culture, great. You have no obligation, family or otherwise, to submit to that bullshit. And I honestly think you'd be better off just calling a halt to the nonsense. That's not what loving families do. To bring you in like some kind of a mark and set you up so that you will be transformed. I would run the other way. I would do something else with your time. I can't think of any specific way where that would be a net positive for you.
I just keep hoping that at some point they'll see, like, this is just you being emotional. This has nothing to do with reason or anything else. Nobody can lay hands on me and change me. And
they are brain washed. Now, I was too, right? And probably you were too, to a degree. But
Absolutely.
when you were at the height of your faith, if someone had said, "You're wrong, this is stupid," would you have immediately said, "You know what? I am wrong, and this is stupid"? No, probably not. Right? Probably not. It would have been unfathomable to you to think that this was stupid. And then you would have doubled up your attempts to rescue and prove what you were trying to prove.
Yeah.
I think your journey, make it about you. I'll say it again and again and again. Make your journey about you. If they want to have a good faith discussion, that's one thing. If they try to drag your ass to a faith healing service because they're going to set you up, fuck no. Life's too short. This is inappropriate. I love you. But I'll tell you, when you do this stuff, I do not like you, and I just won't submit myself to it anymore. I think you have every right to say that, okay? And, go do something you want to do with your evening instead of subjecting yourself to these con artists, okay?
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's one guy's advice.
Listen,
take it or leave it. But
oh, well, yeah. Well, I'm like I said, I'm just getting to the point where there's no conversation left anymore. It's just me ridiculing them and them throwing out another terrible idea for me to sit down. And so it's,
life's too
I don't
short.
know. I don't want to say you cut ties with your family, but God, what do you do?
You have one life, man. You have one chance to do the things you want to do and to be with the people who will accept you for who you are and to just get some good stuff going. Do you really want to spend it all on the hamster wheel with your family, trying to convince them that magical thinking is ridiculous when you pretty much know that they're likely not going to get there? At least they're not going to get there tomorrow. I would say focus more on trying to do the good stuff. And if they won't observe boundaries or respect boundaries, that's on them. That is not on you. It's totally on them. You draw that boundary wherever you want it drawn. They decide to step over or not. And if they step over, you have every right to say, sorry, life's too short. I hate it when it comes to that, but that's just nuts, dude. Your life is yours to live, and it's valuable, and it's a hell of a lot more valuable than, wasting it on some con artist trying to sell pie in the sky religious healing, So.
Yeah, I agree with you. But listen, keep doing what you do, because when I was coming out of all this, I was so deeply immersed in all this. My whole life was the church, and there was nobody to go to. So you don't know what a difference a voice out there, even over the airways,
thank you,
can make to somebody that's just looking for some reason.
You're awesome, my friend. You keep doing what you're doing. Focus more on you. Try to stay encouraged. Don't let them drive you nuts, and keep listening, okay?
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
See you later. That gets my hander pants in a twist right there. Man, families. It's amazing the stuff they give themselves permission to do just because they're family. Hey, Seth, would you like to come to a healing service? We're going to heal the devil right out of you. So before I sit down, they're like, hey, revival preacher, this guy's rejected Jesus. He's on the family tree. Why don't you single him out in front of everybody in the auditorium as part of your performance? Pray away his gay, pray away his atheism, and we'll stand here and be spectators in the name of Jesus. That would happen one time. The minute it began, I would stand up and say, I'm having none of this, and I'm having none of you, and I would walk. God, absolutely crazy. You know what you have to do whenever you start to get frustrated like that? You got to look at Linus's wagon tail. That just makes it all better. That's how we finish the broadcast today, my friends, with a couple of big brown eyes and a wagon tail. You have a wonderful week, and I will see you back here next time. Take care.